Tony sent the monologue to me and asked if one of us would read it. And we read it, and it slightly rubbed us the wrong way, basically. And we felt this was a really good example of how something that's really well-intentioned might be received differently from people in their 20s and 30s. And we felt that it actually encapsulated some of these abstract things that are talking about the way in which parents may feel alienated, or people that don't have much time may feel alienated. So I've drawn out a few examples. Jane basically has a love affair with her car Leola, and it's all about sort of her talking about her family life. And one of the things she talks about is why she needs to use her car is because it keeps her children safe from those rough children from the Morrison estate, safe from traffic, safe from the rain and the cold. Obviously, for if we were going to have, I think it's poking fun at that kind of attitude. But the portrayal of Jane over the course, I'll use the third bullet point. The traffic seems to have stopped again. Oh, that's a police car roaring past and an ambulance. I better phone Mr. Jarrett to say I'll be late now. This time I've got a Nina Simone. Obviously, a quite serious accident has taken place, and there's no kind of recognition that Jane might be concerned for the person. And this was sort of throughout the monologue. It was like a stereotype or an exaggeration of this kind of person. And there were ways in which we really resonated with Jane in terms of like. Sometimes I do get in my car and I drive to the shop and I feel rubbish about it. Or sort of we talk to parents who do actually feel that some of the concerns are legitimate that are expressed in the monologue, but Jane is such an unpleasant character. There was this kind of sense in which it wasn't actually sort of empathising, which was Tony's hope, was to actually do something where we empathise with Jane. We actually thought, oh my goodness, what a vacant person who clearly cannot think for herself. And that was just so not the intention whatsoever. And there was a couple of things that were like big red lights for us. And one of them was talking about Molly, her child, and how she likes to go and get sweets all the time. But the nerve of Miss Allen to say to me that Molly was beginning to look a bit chubby. She's just a nice round building teacher, she'd mind her business. There's a link here being made between greed and weight. And for us, particularly as females, we found that quite difficult around body image and any links that are made. And they're just things that we, thank you for letting me do this, Tony. We could see like the goodwill behind it, but it was just an example of just a bit of a communication error or a communication difficulty. But equally, we're just three young people, and it may be received differently by other young people.
Yeah.
But, so that was just an example of how some of those things manifest themselves.
Can I just add it? Hopefully Tony's right. I had to take my son to an event in a town north of Bristol, and I arranged to take somebody he knew from his class with the mother, who's Spanish, and I don't think that's relevant at all. But we got held up, badly held up, and we were over an hour late in the end, because I could see on the ring road there was this very black smoke and a fire, and then a fire engine goes past. And the woman, the mother, sitting beside me, started laughing. And she started saying, oh, won't it be funny if the boys are late for this thing? It was a theatrical production. Won't it be funny? She's laughing. And I was sitting there thinking, you seriously are not laughing about this? And she was. She was laughing about the fact the boys would be late. And the teacher was going to get really het up about it. And in the distance, probably about half a mile away, I could see the gravy. And in fact, when we got there, when we passed it, she laughed at it again. I think there's something very odd about this woman. It was a van, and the engine was burnt out, and the whole van had been on fire. But she was, and I just think, well, actually, there are people like this.
Absolutely.
I think
that was a discussion that we had. We were like, there definitely are people like Jane, but I don't think Jane's the right person to engage people that are already mildly interested in these issues, because it just sort of feels like
it was
biting people off a bit, maybe,
yeah.
or